Hello, I'm Pat Murdoch, and with my friend Jenny Rieger and co-chair of the Archives Committee, we try to do our best to look after the archives of Christ Church Deer Park, which began when a member of the parish was visiting the curate at the time, and she noticed in his cupboard the original book of baptisms and marriages and deaths in the church were rattling around in his cupboard, covered with dust. And she thought, this is wrong. We should be preserving our heritage. So that's how it all got started.
We have a number of boxes down here on our shelves. Each of them are numbered and filled with acid-free files. And we have a very, very important finding aid which tells us where every file is, so that if we need to find anything, it's easy to get to. And if people call and want us to look up something or find a fact for them, we're easily able to get into the files to do that. As well as our paper files, we have some objects. We have beautiful kneelers around our chancel that were embroidered to follow the Benedicite song. And we store all of the wool that was used in the embroidery so that the color of the wool is preserved, because it's kept out of light and it's kept in an acid-free box. So if any repairs need to be done, we have the original color of the original wool and thread. We also have, and Pat, you should tell this story because this is something that you were familiar with.
Yes, well, when I was confirmed, all the girls in the confirmation class had to wear this thing.
This thing.
On their heads, and we were encouraged to wear white if possible. And it was just so humiliating. The boys in the class didn't have to wear anything special at all, although most of them, I must say, had jackets and grey flannels. But you can imagine how embarrassing this is, because we're just teenagers then. But you have to wear this thing on your head in mixed company. It was just entirely too much. And it's a practice that's no longer followed.
But these objects help tell us a little bit more than mere paper can of the story of our church. And then Pat, perhaps you can talk about this.
Oh yes, well in 1980, I believe it was, we were installing our new tracker organ, and the construction people found this package of gold leaf down behind the organ when they moved the altar. At that time was up against the wall, and they moved the altar out to put the organ in, and now we have a freestanding altar. But it's believed it fell off when they were putting gold ornamentation and names and memorial boards, etc. Anyway, there it is.
Another type of object that we keep are the plans for the church, so that any construction that's been done, any alterations, we have the blueprints, again, carefully preserved, readily accessible, and listed in our finding aids so that we can easily pull them out when someone needs to find where pipes were or how an extension was done. Probably one of the most useful things that we keep are service leaflets. A number of church archives, I think, Pat, you say don't do that.
Well, when I'm a member of the Diocesan Archives Committee as well, and some of my early days there on that committee, people were saying, oh, well, we don't keep pew bulletins or service leaflets, you know, and I think they're one of the most valuable things for a church to keep, because it tells you exactly what was going on. And really, often the only place you can find the answer to some questions.
The earliest service leaflet that we have is from 1924, Lent. I'll just turn it over.
Some from the 40s, but not many, and then after that we have quite a good assortment. And later, since we became a committee, we have everyone.
That's right. And then we have a filing cabinet full of filed photographs that celebrate the events that have happened at the church. And our public wish is that everybody taking photographs puts the date on the back of the photograph.
And the names of the people,
If they know.
appropriate in the picture, because it would be very helpful. Because really a photograph without any date at all or without any name is totally useless.
Yes.
An archival point of view, sadly. No matter how beautiful a photograph, where does it fit? Who is it? When was it done? What does it tell us about the history of the church? We've tried to drum this home in our reports and chatting with members of the congregation. Most people are really trying harder. But it's because we can't do it all. We can't go to every event that happens in this church. It's such a busy place. So otherwise, I would just grab programs from anything that goes on that I attend. So there are gaps.
I think the problems that we're facing in the future is that meetings become more informal and minutes aren't being kept, and communication between committee members is done by email and often not saved and passed on to us, or paper copies aren't made of things that committees are engaged in. And so we begin to lose that tangible record of our past. So that's a problem that we are dealing with, I hope, by reminding people we need
and
things for the archives.
even before emails, it became the fashion to have minutes of, say, a vestry meeting or minutes of a corporation meeting so sanitized that they really don't tell you anything. They're too polite. The early ones, they tell you quite frankly, Mr. So-and-so got very angry and said so-and-so. And they are much more truly and accurately reflect what actually happened at the meeting. But this is true of any organization. The minutes are just much more sanitized than they were.
That's right. So Pat is very diligent at coming weekly. I try to come as often as I can. The archives is open by appointment only, but we're more than willing to help people out if there's material here that they need to have the information from.
Well, we've had fun for a wedding of someone who's, I think, great something or other had given something to the church, and they thought it was a silver flower vase. Well, because I had been on the Chancel Guild for years, I knew that the church did not possess a silver flower vase, so I started hunting in the archives and found that the brass communion ewer that holds the water for the baptisms was in fact a donation that had been given by a member of this family, and so I was able to pull it out for them and tell them the history and they were just thrilled to pieces, and that was doing archives fun, to find things like that. Fun.